Let us start with previous concept, that is computer, types of computer, characteristics or advantages of computers, and then we have different categories of computers: analog, digital, hybrid. Then based on the functionality, next special purpose computer, general purpose computer, scientific and business purpose computer. Next one is digital computers can be divided into mainframe, mini, micro, workstation, server. So we have different categories of computers, and then block diagram of a computer or functional diagram of a computer. Input unit, central processing unit, memory unit, output unit. Where we are giving input to the system is said to be the data. Data will be given to the computer in the form of input called input unit, and we have various devices called input devices. Later, process the data and produces information as output through output devices. Output devices may be soft copy, hard copy, and sound output. If you want to process, we require a heart of a computer system called a central processing unit called a CPU. Central processing unit, CPU. CPU consists of two parts. Number one is arithmetical logical unit, control unit. All arithmetical and logical operations are executed by ALU. Total controlling functionality will be handled by control unit. If you want to store your data on a temporary basis or permanent basis, we require memory. There are two types of memory: primary memory, secondary memory. Little bit later, I will explain the memory chart. Now, we start with the generations of computer. See, today we are seeing computers that evolved from various generations. That are evolved from various generations. Let us have generations of computer. Basically, before going to the generations of computer, let us have a look onto languages. See, if you want to communicate with the machine, person wants to communicate with another person, we require a language. It may be Telugu, English, Hindi or Tamil. Otherwise, at least we require some form of translators. If you speak in Telugu, receiver can understand only Hindi, so we require a translator, that is Telugu to Hindi, Hindi to Telugu, or Hindi to Telugu, Hindi to Telugu. Like that, if the user wants to communicate with machine, this is known as a computer. Here we have a user. User wants to communicate with the machine. Telugu, English or Hindi, these languages may not be suitable. For that, what we require? You require programming languages. What is that? Programming languages. Programming languages provides communication between user or programmer and a computer. Programming languages can be divided into different categories. The first one is machine language, assembly language, high level languages. there are three basic computer programming languages. Number one, machine language, assembly language, high level language. See, a language in the terms of zeros and ones called as binary codes. A language in the terms of zeros and ones called binary codes. If any program, consider a machine language instruction like this. If an instruction in machine language look like this, where user cannot directly understand what the meaning of that instruction, but a machine can clearly understand what it means. Machine language is a machine understandable language in the terms of zeros and ones. Any kind of information must be in the form of zeros and ones called machine languages. Any kind of information must be in the form of machine language called zeros and ones. So, here assembly language, it is very difficult for us to understand the machine language. For their quest, they go for a new language termed as assembly language. It is very difficult for us to understand zeros and ones because it is a clumsy, that is everything is 0 and 1. Any kind of program instructions are zeros and ones. That's why there is a difficulty with machine language. That's why we move on to assembly language. Assembly language is a language that is in the form of symbols, also called as mnemonics, such as add, addition, multiplication. These are the symbols. Div, sub, subtraction, load, push, pop. Pop is nothing but retrieve. Push is nothing but insert. Jump of 0. So, it includes various symbols for programming. Such symbols are said to be mnemonics. It includes add, div, sub, load, store, jump, etc. Again, there is a difficulty. That is, if you write the program for one computer system, that may not be work for other computer. There is a dependency problem. See, if your program is working for all other models, we can say that is independence. But your program works for only a specific model or a specific machine, that is called as dependency. So, again there is a difficulty with the assembly language. That's why we move on to high level language. High level language consists of general English statements such as print, read, if, and like that. Just I want to give you one example of a general basic language. There is a language called, one example of high level language is basic. Basic stands for beginners all purpose symbolic instruction codes. For example, 10, let x is equal to 10. These are line numbers. Let y is equal to 50. Compute or add z is equal to x plus y. 40. display or print the value called Z, finally end. This is a high level language program. It can be easily understood by any person. It can be executable on any model. That's why high level languages are independent languages. So later we have higher level languages. Nowadays it is in the form of natural language processing. Best example is, consider your Google. Hey Google, what is the route from Guntur to Hyderabad? Automatically it produces audio response to your command. It is in the form of artificial intelligence. So natural language processing, anything can be responded to the user in the terms of voice command. Alexa, sing a song for me, or play a song for me from so and so movie. Automatically it will be responded to your call. So basically we have three languages: machine language, assembly language, high level language. Later higher level languages, object oriented languages, natural language processing. Now move on to generations of computer. Totally generations can be divided into 5 categories or 5 eras. 5 era. Era is nothing but generation. What is that? Generation. First generation of computers, second generation of computers, third generation of computers, fourth and fifth generation of computers. See, in the case of first generations, we used to have a circuitry in the form of vacuum tubes. This is known as vacuum tube. It is a glass tube. If you want to construct a computer, we require 20,000 vacuum tubes. 20 to 25,000 vacuum tubes are needed for the construction of a machine. It is highly expensive, and at the same time it occupies large in size, like an apartment size. It produces more heat, it consumes more power, more electricity. Hence, maintenance cost will be high. These first generation of computers provides execution speed in the terms of millisecond. 10 power minus 3. I told you in the case of in the case of characteristics of a computer, advantages of a computer. There I told you deca, centi, milli, micro, nano, pico, femto, attoseconds called speed. The speed of these computers can be defined in the terms of millisecond. So listen, generations of computer. Here we have the first generation. We have the first generation of computers. What it works? How it works? These computers uses vacuum tubes. Vacuum tube is nothing but some form of glass tube. For data processing and storage, they used to have a punched card. Hermann Hollerith designed a punched card. What is punched card? Punched card is like your mess card, where there is a presence of punch represents 1, absence of punch represents 0, because everything is in the form of zeros and ones. So they used to have punched card for data storage, and the era may be that is 1946 to 1959. Languages used with this generation is a machine language. What is machine language? In the form of zeros and ones. Speed can be measured in the terms of millisecond. What is that? Millisecond. Processor speed can be measured in the terms of millisecond. Next point, second generation of computer. What second generation of computer determines? Say this. William Shockley, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain, three people. William Shockley, John Bardeen, Walter Brattain designed a transistor. So the size of first generation computer was like an apartment size. In order to reduce the size, we used to have an electronic circuitry that is called as transistor. We have different types of transistors. Even in the case of your 10th class also, we have PNP transistor, NPN transistors and so forth. Transistors, diodes, capacitors, resistors. These components are constituted to form a second generation of computer. So the size of the computer can be reduced to half in. An apartment size will be converted into a large house. When compared with the first generation of computer, it provides the data processing speed in the terms of microsecond, 10 power minus 6 seconds. These computers uses assembly language for programming. What is assembly language? It includes symbols. What are those symbols? Examples are add, mul, div, sub, load, etc. See, second generation of computers, that is from 1959 to 1965. These computers contains transistors and other similar devices. What are other similar devices? Other similar devices may be in the form of capacitors, resistors, isn't it? Diodes and so forth. Again, they used to have punched code for data storage. Languages used with this computer is assembly language, and speed of these computer can be measured in the form of microsecond. First generation we have millisecond. That's why I told you clearly in the case of characteristics. Milli, micro, nano, pico, femto, attosecond. Next one is third generation of computers, and the era starts from 1965 to 1970. These computers used to have, see, his was Jacques S. Kilby, Nobel Award winner. He designed an integrated circuit called IC. He designed an integrated circuit, IC. Millions of transistors are combined together to form IC. Again, there is various categories of integrated circuitry technologies. Small scale integration, SSIC. Medium scale integration, MIC. Large scale integration, LIC. Very large scale integration, VLIC. Presently, ultra large scale integrated circuit, ULIC. This is the diagram of a integrated circuit. Who developed it? Integrated circuits designed by Jacques S. Kilby. Millions of transistors and other devices are integrated together in a semiconductor material. What is semiconductor? Which acts like both the insulator and conductor, such as silicon, germanium, gallium, indium and so forth. So commonly we are using silicon. On a semiconductor material where we have number of pins, each pin has a specific functionality. Each pin has a specific functionality. So in the case of third generation of computers, we used with integrated circuit to store the data that consists of many transistors capacitors, resistors, diodes, and so forth. They uses storage disk called a magnetic disk and magnetic tape for data storage, like hard disk and like tape recorder cassette, magnetic tape. I will tell you later what is magnetic tape, how they works. Processor speed started to be measured in the form of nanoseconds, millisecond, microsecond, now nanosecond, next picosecond. In the case of fourth, we have picosecond. The concept of operating system was introduced in this generation. Up to now, there is no operating system. Everything is in the form of a supervisory components. Everything may be connected in the form of a mainframe terminals. The concept of operating systems were introduced in this area. In this generation, we used to have high-level programming languages. We have various categories of high-level programming languages. Formula translation, Fortran. John Backus designed Fortran. Common business-oriented language, COBOL, designed by a committee called a CODASIL, Conference on Data Systems Languages. Pascal, Nicholas Wirth designed Pascal. Basic, beginners all-purpose symbolic instruction codes, BASIC, designed by two people. So this is a basic component of programming languages. So here we have, nowadays we are using C language, C++, Java, Python. All these languages are come under higher level languages, object oriented programming languages. So third generation of computer uses integrated circuit. Next one is fourth generation of computer. What fourth generation of computer says? I told you, in the case of integrated circuit, I see small scale integration, medium scale integration, large scale integration, very large scale integration, ultra large scale integration. See, one of the major inventions was LIC, large scale integrated circuit, LSI. LSIC, large scale integrated circuit. The speed of these machines can be performed in the form of picosecond, and they used to have higher level, here we need to write higher level programming languages such as object oriented programming languages. Object, C++, Java, Python, .NET, all these are object oriented programming languages. These computers use microprocessor. Microprocessor is nothing but LSI to process the data, or CPU. A CPU on a single circuit is said to be microprocessor. CPU is on a single circuit is called as microprocessor. They used to have a primary memory and secondary memory for storing the programs and data. We know that there are two types of memory, primary memory, second one secondary memory. Random access memory, read-only memory come under primary memory. Permanent memory is called as secondary memory. It uses the concept of GUI. I told you, what is GUI? Graphical User Interface. Here I am using stylus. For interaction with the system, it is a graphical user interface. I am using mouse for interaction with the system, called a graphical user interface. If I am going to interact with the system in the terms of keyboard events, keyboard typing, that is called as character user interface. Here, fourth generation of machines used to provide you graphical user interfaces so that it can provide easy to interact. Easy to interact is known as user friendliness. easy to interact is called as user friendliness. And the concept of communication network or computer networks evolved here. We have different types of networks. I will tell you later in detail, but fundamentally we have local area networks, metropolitan area networks, wide area networks. The concept of resource sharing. The same resource can be shared by multiple number of computers is said to be resource sharing. The same resource can be shared by multiple number of computers is said to be resource sharing. For example, if you go for any internet center, we have a single printer. This single printer is shared by all the computers in that store. So, resource sharing. The same resource can be shared by multiple number of computers is said to be resource sharing. Next, fifth generation of computers. How this computer works, what are the various elements in it? Nowadays, we all are using fifth generation of machines. Alexa is a fifth generation of machine. Google Home, and then gaming applications, expert systems. Okay, na? Nowadays, we have a concept called artificial intelligence, AI. Artificial intelligence, expert systems, neural networking, machine learning, robotics, all these are examples of fifth generation of computer. What is that? Fifth generation of computer. Let us see one example for this. How these components are under working. This is in the form of fifth generation of machine. She selects some categories of dress by using a screen, and even we have various categories of robotics applications. This is a fifth generation of machine. It is known as a artificial intelligence, neural networking, expert systems. It tries to imitate the human behavior. A robot tries to imitate her behavior. It acts according to the gestures, postures given by her. This is an example of fifth generation of machine. They used to have artificial intelligence. What is that? Artificial intelligence. Say this. A machine that tries to imitate the human being. A machine that acquires the mechanism that the human performs. Expert system. This is expert system, artificial intelligence. Right. So, introducing artificial intelligence to the computers is a major development in this generation. Artificial intelligence is a software, is a computer software or a science. It always tries to imitate the human behavior, tries to imitate the human characters such as reasoning, communicating, seeing, hearing, and so forth. Reasoning, communicating, seeing, hearing, and so forth. Artificial intelligence includes games playing, expert systems, neural networking, natural language, robotics, and so forth. So, there are 5 categories of generations as far as computers are concerned. First generation of computer used to have vacuum tubes. Second generation of computers uses transistors. Third generation of computers uses integrated circuits. Fourth generation computers uses large scale integrated circuits. Fifth generation of machines uses artificial intelligence called AI technique. Okay. Now move on to memory concept. So I explained you question number 1, what is meant by a computer. Question number 2, that is different generations of computer. Question number 3, different types of computers. Question number 4, that is server. A server is a powerful computer that can process multiple number of clients at a time. Advantages, disadvantages computer. Components of a computer called block diagram of a computer. Now we move on to different types of memory. Before moving on to types of memory, we will have a memory chart. Just we are going to take a complete look of memory. Listen carefully, very important and easy. Memory is an area where a user can store the data or instructions, that is either temporarily or permanently. We have two categories of memory. What is this? Primary memory, the second one is a secondary memory. There are two types of memories: primary memory, secondary memory. I told you primary memory is also called as semiconductor memory. Primary memory is also called as semiconductor memory. Whereas secondary memory is concerned, it is known as magnetic memory or optical memory. Magnetic memory or optical memory. Primary memory can also be divided into two types: random access memory, read-only memory, RAM and ROM. Random access memory, read-only memory. Again, random access memory can also be divided into static RAM. Second one is a dynamic RAM. Static RAM. Second one is dynamic RAM. Read-only memory can be divided into programmable read-only memory, PROM, erasable programmable read-only memory, EPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, EEPROM. We have three types of read-only memories. Number 1, PROM. P stands for programmable read-only memory. EPROM, erasable programmable read-only memory. EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. This particular part is said to be semiconductor memory because the total memory is made up of semiconductor material. Next, secondary memory. This is also called as auxiliary memory. Secondary memory is also called as auxiliary memory, non-volatile memory, permanent memory, magnetic or optical memory. It can be divided into two categories. Number one is sequential accessing devices. Second category is a random accessing devices. Random is also called as direct. Sequential accessing devices. Second category is random accessing devices. Best example for sequential accessing device is a magnetic tape. Magnetic tape. For random access, we have earlier days we have floppy disk, hard disk, CD, DVD. Presently we have Blu-ray also. Floppy disk, hard disk, CD, DVD and Blu-ray. This is the total memory chart. Memory is an area where we can store the data or instructions that may be permanently or temporarily. There are two categories of memories. Number one, primary. Second one is secondary. Now, let us see what is random access memory. This random access memory or RAM is a read-write memory. What is that? Read and write memory. What it means? You can read the data or write the data. Both RAM or ROM provides you random accessing. This random access memory is a read-write memory. A content may be written onto or reading from the random access memory, but the major consideration is RAM is totally volatile memory. What is volatile? Temporary in nature. If any power failure occurs, any threat occurs, or if you switch on the computer, entire content is going to be lost. Whereas secondary memory is concerned, it is not a volatile memory, it is a permanent memory, non-volatile memory. But when compared with the primary memory, secondary memory is somewhat slow. When compared with the primary memory, secondary memory is less expensive. For example, the cost of the RAM, it may be around 4 GB, maybe 2000 rupees. The cost of one DVD is nothing but secondary memory. So, the cost of a DVD is 10 rupees. The cost of 1 TB hard disk may be around 2000 rupees or 2500 rupees. Whereas, the cost of 8 GB RAM may be around 3500 rupees. So, primary memory, in this case, we have random access memory. If you want to execute any program, the program must be resided within the main memory. Here, this dynamic RAM can be treated as a main memory. Dynamic. What is the difference between static and dynamic? At any time. Static means fixed. Dynamic means continuously changing. You need to refresh the circuitry again and again. That is called as a dynamic in order to hold the content. There is no need to refresh the circuitry. That is called as static RAM. Static RAM is somewhat high speed when compared with dynamic RAM. That's why static RAM can be used as cache memory. Static RAM can be used as cache memory. we cannot replace the cache memory, we cannot add, we cannot modify the cache memory, it comes along with the motherboard. Again, we have different types, L1 cache, L2 cache, level 3 cache and so forth. There is no need to discuss those elements at this point. Dynamic RAM, we are using dynamic RAM. For example, if somebody asks you what is the RAM in your computer, you may perform right click on my computer, then select properties, automatically it displays the size. This is 8 GB. Installed memory with this computer is 8 GB. Right. So, RAM cannot store the data on a permanent basis. It is totally temporary. Another type of primary memory is read-only memory. See this, it can perform both read and write, and it is also temporary memory. We have different types of main memories. Dynamic RAMs, synchronous dynamic RAM, rhombus dynamic RAM. Nowadays we are using DDR, DDR3, DDR2, DDR1. Double data rate dynamic RAMs. You can read out any kind of specifications given in laptop configuration. We used to have a DDR. DDR stands for double data rate dynamic RAM. DDR RAM. Static RAM can be used for cache memory. This is high speed memory. Right. Next one is read only memory, ROM. It performs only read operation but not write onto the ROM. It is used by motherboard manufacturer in order to write their control programs. See, if you switch on your computer, the first step it performs is booting. Booting. First, it performs a test called power on self test, POST. Whether exact power is passed to the computer, that is from SMPS. If everything is fine, then only motherboard will be activated. Within the motherboard, we have a BIOS program that works with the help of CMOS battery. So, read-only memory is programmable. That is called as PROM. By using ultraviolet, you can erase the content called erasable programmable read-only memory. By using power, electrons, current, you can have electricity. We have electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, right? Just I will tell you one by one. Before going to the topic, just I want to introduce all categories of memories here, isn't it? Right. Next one, secondary memory. What is secondary? Secondary is also called as auxiliary memory, non-volatile memory. It is a permanent memory. What is that? Permanent memory. So, we have a secondary memory. Secondary memory is also called as auxiliary memory or permanent memory. Once the data is written, that cannot be erased whenever if you switch off the computer. So, if I have a pen drive, if I switch off my computer, all the contents remain same. If you have a CD can store the data permanently. So, here there are two categories of secondary memories. Number one, sequential accessing devices. What is sequential access? Here magnetic tape is an example of sequential. Entire data is going to be in the form of one after another, like a tape recorder cassette. You can observe in the case of tape recorder cassette also, if you play song number 1, if you want to listen to song number 6, if you are interested or not is not the consideration. You need to listen to 2, 3, 4, then only we go for 5 and then 6. Previously we used to have a television set that consists of channels in the terms of numbers. If you are at channel number 1, the time takes to move from channel number 1 to channel number 7 is different, channel number 2 is different. If you move the knob to channel number 2, you can watch channel number 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, like that we have a knob. Nowadays, we have a remote. If you want to access, the time required to channel number 1 is equivalent to access channel number 100. That is called as direct access, random access. Here, magnetic tape is commonly used for maintenance of backup. Maintenance of backup. Whenever there exists a failure, in order to recover the system from the failure, we use magnetic tape. Next category, floppy disk. Conventionally, we don't have any kind of hard disk concept, CD, DVD in olden days. That's why we have a floppy disk. It can store 1.22 MB, 1.44 MB. 1.22 MB, a megabytes, 1.44 megabytes. Later, we have a hard disk. I told you nowadays 1 TB, 2 TB hard disk are available. Floppy disk, magnetic tape, hard disk, these three are come under magnetic media. Magnetic media. CD, DVD and Blu-ray is come under optical media. Random access memory, read-only memory are come under semiconductor media, isn't it? Next one is random accessing device, CD. A CD can store 600 to 650 megabytes of data. DVD can store 4.5 to 4.7 GB of data. Blu-ray can store 40 GB of data. But nowadays, we always move on to cloud, memory cards, pen drives, or everything can be accessed by YouTube or a Google Drive, Microsoft or Dropbox, Samsung Cloud, and so forth. So, what is meant by memory? Explain different types of memory. Just I given you only a chart. That is for your easy reference. In your computer, we have 1 TB hard disk, 8 GB RAM, and i3 processor, i3 CPU. Now, move on to question number 7. What is meant by random access memory? RAM stands for random access memory. Random access memory. I told you, if you want to execute any program, that must be stored on the main memory. Then only we can say that the program is under execution state. A faculty member teaches a class, which means that he must be in the classroom, or he may be in the form of Zoom platform, but not outside, but not in a cinema theater. So, it used to hold intermediate data on the computer. The contents of these memory chips are temporary and it can be easily changed. That means here once the contents are written, automatically if there exists a power failure or a switch off, all the contents are going to be lost. It is the workspace for computer's processor. What is computer processor? CPU. Two types of RAMs. What are they? Static RAM. Second one is dynamic RAM. I told you static RAM is always faster. It is expensive. It is static. What is static? Fixed. Because it is not required to refresh the contents of RAM continuously. Whereas dynamic RAM is concerned, you always require refreshing the circuitry. Dynamic RAM is the most common type of main memory. It is dynamic because each memory cell quickly loses its charge. So it must be refreshed for hundreds of times per each second. Every time you need to refresh the circuitry, that is called as a dynamic RAM. There is no need to refresh the circuitry, called a static RAM. That's why static RAM can be used as cache memory. Main memory, that is dynamic RAM, can be used as main memory. Static and dynamic, two parts. Next point is read-only memory, ROM. Question number 8. ROM stands for read-only memory. I told you these are the memory chips that are used for storing the programs that are from the motherboard manufacturer. It is used for storing micro programs not available to normal programmers. This is not available to normal programmers. The information is permanently stored during manufacturing. Information from the memory can be read, but fresh information cannot be written. That's why I told you random access memory, RAM, is read and write memory. Whereas ROM is concerned, read-only memory, ROM is read-only memory. Read-only memory. Different kinds of ROM. I told you programmable read-only memory, erasable programmable read-only memory, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. We have different types of ROMs: PROM, EPROM, EEPROM. Programmable read-only memory. Programmable read-only memory is a non-volatile memory. Every ROM is a non-volatile memory. By using PROM writer, motherboard manufacturer writes a program. EPROM, erasable programmable read-only memory. By using ultraviolet light or rays, you can erase the contents of the EPROM. EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Here, by using power, electricity, you can erase the program elements. I will show you what are different elements in the case of read-only memory and everything. Just let us see one by one. See this? This is known as a random access memory. This is known as a static RAM. What is static RAM? It is a cache. It can be used as a cache memory. This is called as a dynamic RAM. This is dynamic RAM. This is called read-only memory. What is that? Read-only memory, called ROM. And then this is, we have programmable read-only memory, erasable programmable read-only memory, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. We have different types of read-only memories. By using electricity, you can erase the contents of the read-only memory that is called as electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. By passing ultraviolet, you can have erasable programmable read-only memory and normal one. So we see this. Memory is an area where we can store the data or instructions either temporarily or permanently. Random access memory is a temporary memory. Read-only memory is a permanent memory, but we cannot store our data onto the ROM. That's why we go for a secondary memory. A secondary memory is completely a permanent memory. What is that? Permanent memory. Once the data is written onto the secondary memory, even though there exists a power failure, contents remains the same. That is called as non-volatile memory. What is that? Non-volatile memory. But random access memory is volatile memory. Nowadays, main memory, dynamic, DDR, double data rate dynamic memory can be used as a main memory, and static RAM can be used as a cache memory. There are three forms of ROMs: PROM, erasable programmable read-only memory, and EPROM. All these components are come under semiconductor memories. These are known as semiconductor memories. Tomorrow we will see what is secondary memory, how secondary memory works, and various partitions in it. Okay, thank you.